The love that bloomed. On the vibrant planet of Lyra, the air shimmered with colors unseen on Earth. Trees stood tall with leaves that glowed softly in the evening light, and flowers danced as if they were alive. Among the beauty of this world lived Princess Zara, a strong and kind ruler. She was beloved by her people for her wisdom and bravery. Yet Zara often felt a longing deep inside her heart. She dreamed of a world where her people could connect with others beyond the stars. One day, a special event was planned, a peace summit with Earth. Zara was excited but also nervous. She had heard stories about humans, some good, some bad, but she wanted to believe in the best of them. When the day finally arrived, Zara stood at the edge of her castle, gazing at the sky. A human ship descended, its sleek design cutting through the clouds like a silver blade. The ship landed softly on the royal grounds. Out stepped a group of humans, their faces filled with awe as they took in the beauty of Lyra. Among them was Ethan, a tall and handsome man with sparkling blue eyes. When their eyes met, time seemed to freeze. Zara felt an instant connection, a pull toward him that she had never felt before. As the summit began, Zara and Ethan found themselves sitting next to each other. They shared laughter and stories, and the more they spoke, the deeper their bond grew. Ethan told her about Earth, the blue oceans, the green forests, and the bustling cities. Zara shared tales of Lyra's floating mountains and the songs sung by the stars at night. Days passed quickly, filled with joy and laughter. They explored Lyra together, walking through fields of shimmering flowers and gazing at the twin moons in the sky. They shared their hopes and dreams, finding that they both longed for peace between their worlds. Zara admired Ethan's passion for his people, and Ethan was captivated by Zara's strength and grace. One evening, as the sun set and painted the sky with hues of orange and pink, they found themselves alone in a quiet garden. The air was sweet with the scent of blooming flowers. Zara felt a flutter in her chest as Ethan turned to her, his eyes serious yet warm. "Zara," he said softly, "I never expected to find someone like you here. You are so different from anyone I have ever met." Zara's heart raced. "I feel the same way, Ethan. You have shown me a side of humans I never knew existed. I feel safe with you." Ethan stepped closer, his gaze locked onto hers. "Can we create a future together? One where our worlds can unite?" In that moment, the world around them faded away. Zara took a deep breath, feeling the warmth of Ethan's presence. "Yes," she whispered, "I want that too." As if drawn by an unseen force, they leaned in closer. Their lips met softly in a gentle kiss. It was as if the universe itself had conspired to bring them together. In that instant, both Zara and Ethan knew they had found something special, a love that transcended the stars. However, in the midst of their happiness, a shadow loomed over the peace summit. Unbeknownst to Zara, Ethan had a secret. He was not just a simple diplomat. He was a spy sent to gather information about Lyra's defenses. The human government had plans to expand their reach, and the princess's heart was merely a means to an end. Days passed, and their love blossomed. They spent every moment they could together, sharing dreams of peace and unity. Zara began to trust Ethan completely, believing he would help her create a better future for both worlds. But there was a darkness growing in Ethan's heart. Torn between his loyalty to his mission and his love for Zara, he found himself at a crossroads. The excitement of their romance was clouding his judgment. Each day spent with Zara made the weight of his betrayal heavier. One night, as they watched the stars twinkling in the clear Lyran sky, Zara turned to Ethan with bright eyes. "I believe our love can change everything. Together, we can make our people understand each other." Ethan smiled but felt a knot in his stomach. "Yes, together," he replied, his voice faltering. He wanted to believe it too, but the truth hung between them like a storm cloud. As they kissed again, a sudden chill swept through the air, as if the universe itself was warning them of the trials to come. The seeds of betrayal had been sown. and the love that bloomed so beautifully was about to be tested in ways neither could imagine. That night, as Zara drifted off to sleep, she dreamed of a future filled with hope and happiness. She envisioned a united world, where Lyra and Earth thrived together. Little did she know that the dreams she held so dear were about to be shattered by the very person she loved. Ethan lay awake, staring at the ceiling, feeling torn between two worlds. His heart ached for Zara, but he knew that soon he would have to make a choice that could change everything. As the night deepened, the stars outside shone brightly, unaware of the storm that was brewing between the alien princess and the human spy. And so, the stage was set for an unexpected turn of events that would lead to heartbreak and revenge, a path neither Zara nor Ethan could foresee. The love that bloomed in the gardens of Lyra was about to face its greatest challenge, and the fate of both their worlds hung in the balance. The seeds of deception. As the days went by, the joy of Zara and Ethan's blossoming love filled the air of Lyra. The castle glowed with laughter, and the people of Lyra celebrated the bond between their princess and the visiting human. Yet beneath the surface, a storm brewed. Ethan's heart wrestled with conflicting emotions, and his secret mission gnawed at his conscience. Zara, filled with hope, began to make plans for a grand festival. She envisioned a celebration where humans and Lyrans could come together, share their cultures, and solidify their peace. She wanted to invite Ethan to help her organize it, believing his experience would bridge the gap between their worlds. One sunny morning, as Zara walked through the lush gardens, she spotted Ethan sitting on a stone bench, lost in thought. His brow was furrowed, and she could see the tension in his shoulders. She approached him, her heart fluttering. "Ethan," she said gently, "what troubles you?" He looked up, forcing a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "It's nothing, really. Just thinking about the festival. It sounds like a wonderful idea." Zara felt a pang of worry. "You seem distant. Is something bothering you? You can tell me anything." Ethan hesitated, the weight of his secret pressing down on him. I want everything to go well for you and your people. I'm here to help." She beamed at him, her eyes sparkling with hope. "Together, we can show everyone that peace is possible. Let's make this festival unforgettable." As they talked about the festival, Zara's excitement grew. She envisioned colorful decorations, delicious food from both worlds, and joyful music filling the air. Ethan listened, his heart aching with every plan she made. He wanted to support her dreams, but he also knew he was hiding a part of himself that could destroy her happiness. Days turned into weeks as they prepared for the festival. Lyrans and humans worked side by side, setting up stalls, painting banners, and rehearsing performances. Zara and Ethan spent long hours together, their laughter echoing through the castle. But the closer the festival drew, the more Ethan felt the weight of his secret. One evening, Zara surprised Ethan with a beautiful necklace made of glowing Lyran crystals. "I want you to have this," she said, placing it around his neck. "It symbolizes our bond. When you wear it, remember that you are a part of Lyra." Ethan's heart swelled with gratitude, but he felt the sting of guilt. He gently touched the necklace, forcing a smile. "Thank you, Zara. This means a lot to me." But that night, as he lay in bed, Ethan stared at the ceiling, unable to sleep. His mission was to gather intelligence about Lyra's defenses and report back to Earth. He thought of his friends and family back home, who believed he was working toward a greater good. But now he felt trapped between duty and love. How could he betray the woman who had shown him kindness and opened her heart to him? Zara, meanwhile, was filled with dreams of the festival. She envisioned the joy it would bring, the way it would unite their worlds. Yet in her heart, she sensed a change in Ethan. He was distant at times, lost in thought when they should have been enjoying their time together. She brushed aside her concerns, convincing herself that he was simply focused on the upcoming event. The day of the festival arrived, and excitement buzzed through the air like a sweet melody. Lyrans and humans gathered in the central square, decorated with vibrant banners and lights that shimmered like stars. Laughter and chatter filled the atmosphere, and Zara felt a surge of hope as she looked around at the smiles of both her people and the humans. As the sun dipped below the horizon, the festival began. Zara took to the stage, her heart swelling with pride. She welcomed everyone, expressing her joy at the unity being celebrated. "Tonight, we stand together as one," she declared, her voice ringing clear. "Let this festival be a symbol of our friendship and a step towards a brighter future." The crowd erupted in applause, and Ethan stood by her side, his heart filled with admiration for the princess. As the festivities continued, they danced together, twirling beneath the lights, lost in the magic of the moment. Zara felt safe and cherished, oblivious to the turmoil swirling inside Ethan. But as the night progressed, Ethan spotted a group of humans huddled together, whispering urgently. He felt a chill run down his spine. His heart raced as he realized that they were discussing a plan, one that could put everything Zara cherished in danger. They had grown impatient, wanting to take action against Lyra now that they had gathered enough information. Ethan's stomach twisted in knots. He couldn't let this happen. He knew he had to warn Zara, but fear gripped him. What if she found out about his mission? What if she never forgave him? With every passing moment, he felt the walls closing in. He knew he had a choice to make. Should he protect his love and reveal his truth, or remain silent and let the chaos unfold? Torn between love and loyalty, Ethan took a deep breath, trying to gather the courage he needed. As the festivities continued, laughter echoed in the air, but for Ethan, the joy felt hollow. He watched Zara dance with her people, her laughter like music to his ears. He was falling deeper in love, but he was also standing on the edge of a precipice, ready to plunge into darkness. In the middle of the celebration, as Zara's laughter rang out, a dark shadow loomed over their future. The seeds of deception had been planted, and the time for reckoning was drawing near. Would love be enough to overcome the looming storm? Only time will the revelation. The festival was in full swing, and the air buzzed with excitement. Lyrans and humans danced, shared stories, and savored delicious foods. Zara felt alive, her heart full as she watched her people and the humans celebrate together. She looked over at Ethan, who was smiling, but she noticed his eyes seemed distant, shadowed by worry. As the night wore on, Zara gathered her courage. She wanted to understand what was troubling Ethan. They had shared so much joy together, yet a weight hung between them like a storm cloud. Taking a deep breath, she approached him while the music swelled around them. "Ethan," she said softly, pulling him aside from the throng of dancers. "You've been quiet tonight. Is something wrong?" Ethan's smile faded. He turned away, his expression serious. "Zara, there's something I need to tell you." Her heart raced. "What is it? You can tell me anything." He took a deep breath, steeling himself. "I haven't been completely honest with you. I came here with a mission. I was sent to gather information about Lyra and report back to Earth." Zara felt a cold wave wash over her. "What do you mean? Why didn't you tell me?" "I didn't want to hurt you," Ethan replied, his voice trembling. "When I met you, everything changed. I started to care about you, about Lyra. But now, my people want to take action against your world." Shock filled Zara's eyes. "What do you mean? Action? What kind of action?" Ethan's heart sank as he saw the realization dawn on her. They want to attack. They think Lyra is a threat, and they want to destroy it before it can retaliate. Tears welled up in Zara's eyes. You were spying on us. How could you betray me like this?" She stepped back, hurt and disbelief washing over her. "No, I never wanted to betray you," Ethan pleaded. "I was supposed to gather intel, but all I could think about was you and how I wanted to protect you. But now I don't know what to do." The weight of his words crashed down on her. The joy of the festival felt like a distant memory, replaced by a heavy silence. "How can I trust you now?" Zara asked, her voice shaking. "You lied to me. I was wrong. I thought I could keep it separate. I thought I could help build a bridge between our worlds, he replied, desperation in his eyes. But I was naive. I should have told you sooner. Zora turned away, hurt and angry. She had opened her heart to him, and now it felt shattered. You should leave, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. You should go back to Earth and tell them whatever lies you need to protect yourself. Zora, please. Ethan reached out, but she stepped back. No, you don't get to decide this. You made your choice when you decided to keep this from me. Her heart ached with betrayal, but deep down, she still felt the remnants of love that clung to her. I trusted you, Ethan. I thought you were different. The words cut him deeply. He felt lost, torn between the duty he had sworn to his people and the love that had blossomed in Lyra. I'll find a way to stop them. I promise. Just give me a chance to make this right. But Zara shook her head, tears streaming down her cheeks. What if it's too late? What if they already have a plan? Then I'll do everything I can to stop it. I can't let them destroy what we've built, he said, urgency creeping into his voice. Please, let me help you. Silence fell between them, thick and heavy. Zara wanted to believe him. Part of her heart still yearned for the man she had fallen in love with. But the sting of betrayal clouded her mind, making it difficult to see through the fog of hurt. I need time, she finally said, her voice wavering. I need to think about what this means for Lyra, for us. Ethan nodded, understanding her pain. I'll do whatever it takes to protect you and your world. Just know that I love you, Zara. I always have. With that, he stepped back, giving her space as the festival continued around them. Laughter echoed, but it felt hollow to Zara. She turned away, her heart heavy, the night now a stark contrast to the joy it had promised. As the celebration unfolded, whispers of concern spread among the humans. Some had overheard Ethan's conversation with Zara and questioned what it meant for their mission. The tension grew, and plans for a potential strike against Lyra began to surface among the more aggressive members of the group. Meanwhile, Zara felt a mix of anger, sadness, and confusion. She loved Ethan, but how could she trust him after everything? How could she forgive the deception that hung like a dark cloud over their relationship? Hours passed, and the festival drew to a close. Zara watched the stars twinkle above, reflecting her inner turmoil. She longed for peace and unity, but doubt gnawed at her heart. How could she protect her people when the one she loved was caught between two worlds? In the shadows, plans for destruction were brewing, and as the night darkened, Zara realized that time was running out. The future of Lyra hung in the balance, and she needed to act quickly. With a heavy heart, she resolved to gather her advisors and prepare for what was to come. The betrayal had opened her eyes to the dangers that lurked beneath the surface, and she would do everything in her power to protect her people, even if it meant facing the man she loved. As she walked away from the festival, a sense of determination replaced the hurt. Zara would not let her world fall to chaos. She would fight for Lyra and find a way to protect it, even if it meant confronting Ethan and the choices he had made. The battle for her heart and her home had just begun. The gathering stormed. Days passed, and the celebration of the festival faded into memory. Zara was haunted by the truth of Ethan's betrayal, and the atmosphere in Lyra was thick with tension. Whispers of an impending war circulated among the citizens, and fear gripped the hearts of many. The alien princess knew she had to act swiftly to protect her people. Determined to rally her advisors, Zora called an emergency meeting in the Grand Hall. The room was vast and adorned with shimmering crystals that reflected the light of the twin suns. But the beauty of the hall did little to ease the anxiety that filled the air. The most trusted members of her council gathered, their faces etched with concern. "Thank you for coming on such short notice," Zara began, standing at the head of the table. "We have serious matters to discuss." Chief Advisor Philia, a wise and formidable woman, leaned forward, her brow furrowed. "What have you learned, Your Highness? The rumors grow stronger by the day." Zara took a deep breath. Steadying herself, Ethan, the human I trusted, came to Lyra on a mission. He was sent to gather information about us and report back to Earth. They planned to attack. Gasps of disbelief filled the room. Murmurs echoed as the council members exchanged worried glances. "Why would they want to attack us?" asked General Kellen, a burly warrior with a fierce loyalty to Lyra. "We have done nothing to provoke them." Zara felt a pang of guilt as she recalled Ethan's words. He said they see us as a threat. They fear what we could become. They believe destroying us is the only way to ensure their safety. Thelia's expression hardened. This is unacceptable. We must prepare ourselves for what is to come. We cannot let fear dictate our fate. Zara nodded, feeling the weight of her responsibility. I agree. We must strengthen our defenses and reach out to our allies. If we act swiftly, we may be able to stop this before it escalates. The council members discussed strategies and options, their voices rising as they brainstormed ways to protect Lyra. Zara listened intently, but her mind kept drifting back to Ethan. She could not shake the lingering feelings she had for him, nor the belief that he might still want to help her. But could she trust him again? Hours passed, and the meeting finally adjourned with a sense of urgency. Zara felt the burden of leadership heavy on her shoulders. She needed to act, but her heart remained torn. As she left the grand hall, she spotted Lyra's shimmering lake, a tranquil place that had always brought her peace. She walked toward it, hoping to find clarity. The sun began to set, casting an orange glow over the water, making it glisten like diamonds. She knelt by the edge, her reflection staring back at her. "What should I do?" she whispered to the water. "How can I protect my people while still caring for him?" Lost in thought, she recalled their moments together, the laughter, the shared dreams, and the deep conversations under the stars. For a brief moment, she felt a flicker of hope. Maybe Ethan could be redeemed. Just then, a rustle in the bushes caught her attention. She turned, heart racing, ready to defend herself. Emerging from the shadows was Ethan, his expression a mix of desperation and determination. "Zara," he called out, stepping forward. "Please, let me explain." She felt a rush of emotions, anger, hurt, love. "What are you doing here? I told you to leave." "I can't," he replied, his voice urgent. "I'm trying to help you. I overheard plans among my people. They intend to launch an attack soon. I need you to trust me." Zora's heart pounded. "Why should I? You lied to me, Ethan. How can I believe anything you say now? I know I've made mistakes, but I swear to you, I've changed. I love you, and I can't let them destroy Lyra. I'll do whatever it takes to stop this," he said, stepping closer. Zara hesitated, caught in the storm of her emotions. The sincerity in his eyes was hard to dismiss, but the wounds from his betrayal still felt fresh. "What do you propose?" she asked, trying to keep her voice steady. "We need to gather information about their plans and create a counter-strategy. I can use my connections to warn you about their movements. But we have to act quickly," he urged, desperation evident in his tone. "Do you think they will trust you after what you did?" Zara asked, skepticism creeping in. "They don't have to trust me. They'll trust the intel I can provide. But I need you to agree to this," Ethan replied, his eyes locked onto hers. Zara sighed, feeling the weight of her decision. If she accepted his help, it could turn the tide in their favor. But could she bear the risk of betrayal again? After a moment of contemplation, she finally nodded. "All right, but if you betray me again, I will not hesitate to protect my people." Ethan's face lit up with relief. "Thank you, Zara. I promise, I'll prove myself. Let's start by gathering a team. We'll need a plan in place before they can strike," she instructed, her determination rekindled. As they walked side by side, Zara couldn't shake the feeling that they were standing on the edge of a precipice. The winds of change were howling around them, and the fate of Lyra hung in the balance. But for the first time in days, she felt a glimmer of hope. Together, they might be able to avert disaster. But the road ahead would be fraught with challenges, and she knew they had to tread carefully. With Ethan by her side, Zara felt the storm gather strength, but she was ready to face it head-on. They would fight for Lyra, for their love, and for a future that was worth fighting for. The battle was just beginning, and the stakes had never been higher. The unlikely alliance. The days that followed were a blur of planning and preparation. Zara and Ethan worked tirelessly to gather intelligence on the impending attack. They'd formed an unlikely alliance, blending Zara's knowledge of Lyra's defenses with Ethan's insights into human military strategies. As they spent more time together, Zara felt the walls around her heart slowly crumbling, but she remained cautious. In the Grand Hall, they assembled a team of trusted warriors and advisors. General Kellen, still wary of Ethan, stood with his arms crossed, watching the human closely. "You better prove your worth, Ethan," he warned, his voice low and threatening. "I intend to," Ethan replied, meeting Kellen's glare without flinching. "I'm not here to harm Lyra. I'm here to save it." "Let's hope so," Kellen said, his tone skeptical. "Our lives depend on your loyalty." Zara sensed the tension in the air, but kept the focus on their strategy. "We need to know the exact timeline of their attack. Ethan, what can you tell us?" Ethan took a deep breath and began. "I managed to access some restricted data before I left Earth. The attack is planned for the next lunar cycle, which is just a few weeks away. They're mobilizing a large fleet, much larger than we anticipated." The room fell silent as everyone processed this news. "We have little time," Zara said, feeling a sense of urgency. "We need to prepare our defenses and devise a counter-strategy." "I suggest we use guerrilla tactics," Ethan continued. "If we can create chaos in their ranks, we may have a chance to weaken their forces before the main battle." "Guerrilla tactics," Kellen scoffed. "That's risky. We can't afford to lose anyone." "Every battle comes with risk," Ethan replied, his voice steady. "But if we stand out in the open, we'll be sitting ducks. We have to be smart about this." Zara nodded, appreciating Ethan's strategic thinking. "Kellen, I want you to train our forces for rapid strikes. We'll create distractions while the main part of our army prepares for the real fight." As they discussed their strategy, Zara couldn't help but notice the way Ethan's eyes sparkled with determination. She felt a mixture of admiration and unease, but she had to stay focused on the task at hand. After hours of planning, they decided to split into teams. Zara would lead one group, while Ethan would lead another to gather more intelligence on the enemy's movements. As the sun set over Lyra, casting a golden hue across the landscape, Zara felt the weight of responsibility settling heavily on her shoulders. The hope of her people rested on her decisions. She gathered her team for the night's mission, trying to instill confidence in them. "Remember, this is about our survival," she said, her voice strong. "We fight for our families, our homes, and our future. We cannot let them take that away from us." The warriors nodded, determination shining in their eyes. They set off into the night, hearts pounding with the adrenaline of impending battle. Meanwhile, Ethan gathered his team, a mix of human soldiers and Lyra's elite warriors. "Listen up," he said, his tone serious. "We need to be quick and quiet. We're going to scout the enemy's positions and find out their weaknesses. Stay alert." As they moved through the shadows, Ethan felt a mix of excitement and anxiety. This was his chance to prove himself, not only to Zara and her people, but also to himself. He knew he had to earn their trust, especially after his betrayal. The night air was cool, and the stars above twinkled like diamonds. Ethan led his team deeper into enemy territory, his heart racing with the thrill of the hunt. They moved silently, sticking to the cover of trees and rocks. After a while, they stumbled upon a hidden encampment. Ethan's breath caught in his throat as he signaled for everyone to halt. He peered through the foliage, eyes widening at the sight before him. Hundreds of soldiers were gathered around a large holographic display, discussing their plans for the attack. "This is it," Ethan whispered, adrenaline pumping through his veins. We need to get closer. He led his team forward, careful not to make a sound. They crept behind crates and barrels, listening intently. The enemy commanders spoke of their strategies and troop movements, unaware of the danger lurking nearby. Perfect, Ethan thought, taking notes in his mind. He could feel the weight of the moment pressing down on him. This information would be crucial for Lyra's defense. Suddenly, a loud noise echoed through the camp, a crate falling over. The enemy soldiers snapped to attention, eyes scanning the surroundings. Ethan's heart raced as he motioned for his team to retreat. They moved quickly, slipping away into the shadows just in time. Once they were safely away from the camp, Ethan let out a sigh of relief. "That was too close," he said, wiping sweat from his brow. "But we got what we needed." As they made their way back to Lyra, Ethan's thoughts turned to Zora. He felt a growing desire to prove himself to her, to show her that he was worth trusting again. Meanwhile, Zara and her team returned to the grand hall, exhaustion etched on their faces, but a glimmer of hope shining in their eyes. "Did you find anything?" she asked, her heart racing with anticipation. Ethan stepped forward, the excitement palpable. "We gathered crucial information about their movements. They have a weak point in their defenses, and I believe we can exploit it." Zara felt a rush of hope. This is exactly what we need. Together, we can turn the tide in our favor. As they began to discuss their next steps, Zora's heart swelled with determination. She had taken a risk by trusting Ethan again, but in that moment, she believed it was the right choice. Together, they would face the storm that was coming. The stakes had never been higher, but as the bonds of alliance deepened, Zara felt a sense of unity among her people. They would fight for their home, their love, and their future. And as the first light of dawn broke over Lyra, they prepared for the battle that would determine their fate. The calm before the storm. The days turned into a blur of training and strategy sessions. Zara and Ethan worked closely together, and their bond grew stronger. The warriors of Lyra were trained for the fight ahead, their spirits high as they prepared for the battle that could decide their fate. The atmosphere buzzed with a mix of hope and anxiety as they braced for the impending conflict. On the eve of the battle, the mood in the grand hall was tense yet determined. Zara stood at the front of the room, her heart pounding as she addressed her people. "Tomorrow, we fight not just for our lives, but for our future," she began, her voice steady. "This is our chance to prove that Lyra will not fall. We must unite and show them our strength." The crowd erupted in cheers, their voices echoing off the walls. Zara felt a surge of pride as she looked around at the faces of her warriors. She saw courage and determination reflected in their eyes, and it filled her with hope. As the night wore on, Ethan and Zara found a quiet moment away from the others. They stepped outside to the balcony, where the stars twinkled like the lights of 1,000 hopes. The cool breeze wrapped around them, offering a moment of peace before the storm. "Are you ready for tomorrow?" Ethan asked, his voice low. Zara took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the world on her shoulders. "I don't know if anyone can ever be ready for a battle like this," she admitted. "But I know we have to do it, for our people." Ethan nodded, understanding the gravity of the situation. "We'll do everything we can to protect them." "You have my word," he said, meeting her gaze with sincerity. Zara felt a warmth in her chest at his words. She had been cautious about trusting him again, but in that moment, she saw a glimmer of the person she had once cared for. "Thank you, Ethan. Your loyalty means more than you know," she said softly. As they stood together, a sense of calm washed over them. In that brief moment, the chaos of the world around them faded away, leaving just the two of them standing together against the vastness of the universe. Suddenly, the moment was interrupted by the sound of footsteps. General Kellen approached, his expression serious. "We need to finalize our plans for tomorrow," he said, glancing at both of them. "The warriors are ready, but we must be sharp. Every detail matters." Zara nodded, stepping back into her role as the leader. "Of course. Let's gather everyone and go over the strategy one last time." As they moved back into the grand hall, Zara felt the weight of leadership settle back on her shoulders. She knew the choices she made in the next few hours would shape the future of her people. The warriors gathered in the hall, their faces grim yet determined. Zara and Kellen outlined the plan, emphasizing the importance of stealth and precision. The air was thick with anticipation as they discussed the details of the attack, focusing on how to exploit the enemy's weak points. Ethan stood to the side, listening intently. He could see the trust building between Zara and her people, and it made him feel a sense of belonging he hadn't felt in a long time. He was determined to earn that trust, no matter the cost. As the meeting concluded, Zara looked out over her warriors. "We'll meet at dawn. Rest now, for tomorrow we fight for our home." The hall erupted with cheers once more, a united front ready to face the battle ahead. After the meeting, Zara found herself wandering the halls of the palace, her mind racing with thoughts of the battle. She felt a mixture of fear and excitement. This was her chance to prove herself, to protect the home she loved. Suddenly, she heard a soft voice behind her. "Zara." It was Ethan, his expression earnest. "I know you're feeling a lot of pressure right now. If you need to talk." "I'm okay," she interrupted, forcing a smile. "I just need to focus on the battle. Thank you for your concern, though." Ethan studied her for a moment, then nodded. "I understand. Just remember, you're not alone in this. We're all in this together." Zara appreciated his words. She wanted to lean on him, but her heart was still guarded. "I know, and I'm grateful for your help." As they continued to talk, Zara began to realize that perhaps she could allow herself to trust him again, at least a little. He had proven himself in the planning stages, and now he stood ready to fight by her side. The hours passed quickly, and soon it was time for the warriors to rest. Zara settled into her chambers, her mind racing as she tried to find peace. She lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, thoughts of the battle swirling in her mind. In her heart, she hoped for a miracle. She prayed that the bond they had forged would be strong enough to withstand the storm that was coming. As dawn broke over the horizon, casting a golden light across the landscape, Zara felt a surge of determination. She would not let fear control her. Today, they would fight. Today, they would defend their home. With her heart set on victory, she rose from her bed, ready to face whatever lay ahead. She dressed quickly and made her way to the training grounds, where the warriors were already gathering. Zara stood at the front, her heart racing with anticipation. "Today, we show the universe the strength of Lyra. We will not back down. Together, we fight." The warriors cheered, their voices ringing with determination. As they prepared to march into battle, Zara felt a sense of unity among her people. They were ready to face the enemy, ready to protect their home. And with Ethan by her side, she felt a glimmer of hope that they might just emerge victorious. The final battle. The dawn was crisp and bright, but the air was thick with tension as Zara and her warriors assembled at the edge of Lyra's main city. The grand fortress loomed behind them, a symbol of their strength and resilience. Each warrior stood ready, armor gleaming under the rising sun, weapons sharpened and poised for battle. Zara took a deep breath, letting the cool air fill her lungs. Today was the day they had trained for, the day they would confront the forces that threatened their home. "Remember, we fight not just for ourselves, but for every soul in Lyra," she shouted, her voice carrying over the gathered ranks. "Today, we show the universe the strength of our resolve." Cheers erupted from the crowd, their voices rising like a tide of determination. Zara felt a swell of pride as she looked at the faces of her warriors. They were ready. They believed in her, and she was determined to lead them to victory. As the warriors prepared to march, General Kellen stepped forward, his expression serious. "We'll split into 2 groups. Zara, you'll lead the main assault, while I'll take a smaller unit to flank their rear. We'll catch them off guard," he explained, drawing a quick diagram in the dirt. Zara nodded, her mind racing with strategy. "Good plan, Kellen. Let's move quickly and decisively. She glanced at Ethan, who stood nearby, his expression one of fierce determination. She felt a mix of gratitude and anxiety. He had proven himself, but today would test them all. The march to the enemy camp was tense. The warriors moved in disciplined silence, every step echoing the weight of what lay ahead. As they approached, Zora could see the enemy's defenses, towering walls, heavily armed guards, and the dark silhouette of their ships hovering above. "Steady," Zora called as they drew closer. "Remember our plan." The sight of the enemy camp ignited a fire in her veins. She had to be strong for her people. As they reached the outskirts, Zora signaled for her warriors to halt. The enemy was unaware of their approach, but that wouldn't last long. With a wave of her hand, Zora signaled the charge. "Now, for Lyra," she shouted, leading the way. The warriors surged forward, a tidal wave of determination crashing against the enemy defenses. The battle erupted in a cacophony of shouts and clashing weapons. Zora fought fiercely, her sword flashing as she cut through the enemy ranks. She felt a rush of adrenaline as she maneuvered through the chaos, her warriors fighting bravely at her side. But amid the chaos, Zora's heart sank as she saw a familiar figure on the battlefield, the alien princess, Kira, leading the opposing forces. Their eyes locked for a brief moment, and Zora saw a mix of rage and sorrow in Kira's gaze. "Kira," Zora shouted, dodging the swing from an enemy soldier. "This doesn't have to end in bloodshed." But Kira's response was lost in the roar of the battle. With a fierce scream, she charged forward, determined to take down the one she held responsible for her pain. Zora felt her heart race as she faced her opponent. Ethan, sensing the impending clash, moved beside Zora, ready to defend her. "We'll face her together," he said, his voice steady. Zora nodded, grateful for his presence. The two of them moved to intercept Kira as she fought through their warriors, her fury evident in every strike. "Stand down, Kira," Zora shouted, blocking a blow aimed at her. "You're fighting for the wrong cause." "Wrong cause?" Kira sneered, her voice dripping with disdain. "You betrayed me, Zora. You made a mockery of my trust." Zora felt a pang of guilt but pushed it aside. "I never wanted to hurt you. We can work together. We can find peace." Kira's eyes blazed with anger. "Peace? Your kind destroyed my heart. You think I'll let that go?" The fight continued around them. But in that moment, it felt like the world had narrowed to just the three of them. Zora felt the weight of Kira's pain, but she also felt the resolve within herself to protect her people. With a fierce cry, Kira lunged at Zora. The two women clashed, their weapons ringing out in the chaos. Ethan moved to help, but Zora shouted, "No, I have to do this." Zora focused all her energy, dodging Kira's strikes while searching for an opening. As they fought, memories of their time together flashed through her mind. Laughter, shared dreams, and the bond they had forged. Zora wished desperately that they could return to those moments, but the reality was far different. Finally, Zora found an opening. She disarmed Kira, her weapon clattering to the ground. They stood facing each other, breathing heavily, eyes locked. Zora felt the tension in the air, and for a moment, time seemed to stand still. "Kira, please, this isn't the way," Zora pleaded, desperation creeping into her voice. "We can end this together. We don't have to lose any more lives." Kira's expression softened for a brief moment, but the anger returned. "You have no idea what you've taken from me," she said, her voice trembling with emotion. As the battle raged on around them, Zora took a step closer. "I know I hurt you, but I never wanted this. I wanted to understand you, to build a future together." Kira hesitated, doubt flickering in her eyes. For a brief moment, Zora thought she could see a glimmer of the friendship they once had. But just as quickly, it vanished, replaced by the cold fire of vengeance. "I will not let my people suffer for your betrayal," Kira shouted, her voice filled with determination. The two women resumed their fight, each blow echoing with their unspoken pain. But Zara refused to give up. With every strike, she fought not just for her life, but for Kira's heart. Suddenly, a loud explosion rocked the battlefield, shaking the ground beneath them. Both women stumbled, and in that moment of distraction, Ethan seized the opportunity to intervene. He positioned himself between Zara and Kira, his expression fierce. "Enough!" he shouted, raising his sword. "This fight will destroy us all." Zara felt a mix of relief and fear. Ethan, don't. But he stood his ground. "If we don't find a way to end this, we're all doomed." Kira glared at him, her fury still boiling. "Stay out of this, human." But as the dust settled around them, Zara felt a surge of hope. "Kira, we can change this. We can find a way to coexist." For the first time, Kira paused, her expression wavering. Zara could see the conflict within her, and she seized the moment. "We've lost so much already. Let's not lose any more. Join me. Let's find peace." Kira's gaze shifted between Zara and Ethan. The chaos of battle continued around them. But in that moment, it felt like they were the only three people in the universe. Slowly, Kira lowered her weapon. You really think we can find peace?" Zara nodded, feeling a flicker of hope ignite within her. "I believe we can, but we have to choose it together." Ethan lowered his sword, sensing the shift in the air. "We can build something new, Kira. Together, we can create a future for both our people." The battlefield around them raged on. But in that moment, something profound shifted. Kira's eyes softened as she looked at Zara, and for the first time, they both saw the possibility of healing. "Perhaps," Kira whispered, uncertainty lingering in her voice. Zara took a step forward, her heart racing. "Together, we can end the fighting. Let's show our people that there is a better way." As the battle continued to unfold behind them, the three stood together, united by a shared desire for peace. It was a fragile truce, but in that moment, it felt like a new beginning, a chance to rewrite their destinies and forge a future where love, not hatred, would prevail. With renewed hope, they turned to face the battlefield, ready to lead their people into a new dawn, one where unity and understanding would triumph over betrayal and vengeance.